Welcome to Buckets. Surprise, you've been traded along with half the NBA. This is your best episode for Wednesday, February 5th in the association. No. It's trade deadline day. Thursday, February 5th in the association. I have completely lost track of what day it is because I've been writing constantly about NBA trades. We will give you best bets from this, the Action Network's daily NBA betting program, with you Sunday through Friday. You can find it in your inbox every morning. And we go live on youtube.com/the Action Network Sunday through Thursday after the All-Star break. We will pick up a Friday show as well with you Sunday through Friday. We hope you guys enjoy the content. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe or a 5-star review if you're listening on the podcast. Let us know that you're a listener. I'd just like to hear from you guys. So hit me up at HB Basketball. You can find me in a number of places, but that's the best way to get at me. Would love to hear from you and let me know what you like about buckets. All right. We will do best bets for the slate on Thursday. We don't know who's playing or where or when or what time or when they will begin with their new teams, but we will give you best bets. We have a full slate. We have, the dogs are barking. The dogs, they are a barking tonight as we do best bets for the Thursday slate. To join me in this endeavor and to talk some trades, I got Brandon Kravitz at BK Picks, at Brandon Kravitz. BK, pre and post game for the Orlando Magic. You can catch him with the Favorites podcast here on the Action Network. Great show. I was on it this week. Had a lot of fun doing cross bet props and having Stuckey completely crap on everything that was not good value. Fiddle, you would have loved it. You have just loved how Stuckey had zero time for any of the nonsense bets for the Super Bowl. It was absolutely terrific. Also joining us, the maestro of the market, the commander of CLV, Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks. You can catch his daily show breaking down all things in the NBA market on his Twitter page at Fiddle's Picks. BK, how's the trade deadline treating you?
Well, Tyus Jones is gone, so I'm sure that there will be a video tribute package produced in minutes.
In the arms of the angel.
Or when he eventually makes his return. We were able to get cash considerations, so perhaps
cash considerations got moved today. There's a lot of cash considerations getting.
What happens with the cash from cash considerations? Does the owner just pocket it?
I think they do.
No, it just goes on the balance sheet.
Which then whatever doesn't come off the balance sheet stays in the owner's pockets?
Yeah.
It's transitive property?
It's it's a cash grab.
I don't even think it goes in the owner's pocket. I think it literally just goes on the balance sheet of the team so that they can talk up the fact that they were profitable. Which, unless
turns into money for them.
VA is up, in which case they will make it disappear so it looks like they lost money so they can tell the union, oh no, we're so poor, we lost money on this multi-billion-dollar business. That was most
Swedish bank account.
So you asked how the trade deadline is going. I'm just going to go ahead and throw a grenade into the podcast here. I don't think this is a hot take. Maybe it is. I don't think we've seen a single futures bet altering move yet in the market. I don't think we've seen one
for this season. I agree with you.
Yeah, next year. I feel better about the Jazz.
Yep.
That's a conversation we can have in the off season. I don't think it changes anything this year. I think I feel better about the Washington Wizards, maybe, but I've also gotten excited about Anthony Davis in the past. I sold myself on this being a positive. I could shit on the Luka trade, but also say that the Mavs might actually get better in some ways, and they didn't. So I don't want to sell myself on that too hard. I don't think the Cavs move for James Harden, they added 3 guards. Maybe they get better, but their defense has slipped from where it was 2 years ago. They continue to slide. They're not going to be a top 10 defense going into the playoffs. And I don't think you can win a championship that way. So it's fun. I'm curious to see what it looks like with James Harden in that backcourt and how that works with Donovan Mitchell. But I don't think we have seen a real game-changing move yet.
Fiddle, should I upgrade or downgrade my power ratings for the Cleveland Cavaliers without checking objective figures?
Upgrade. I would say that the Cavaliers definitely are the team that made the move that's going to impact the futures market. In fact, they became the odds-on leader in the Eastern Conference to come out of the East. I think that moved from 6-1 to 3-1 over the last week since the addition of James Harden. And talk about their defense. I actually think James Harden improves their defense, because teams used to go pick at Garland as a smaller guard, and then also by de facto of having Garland on the court, you needed Donovan Mitchell to also be a defender guarding someone else bigger and playing up a little bit. If there's one thing that's ever been said that's half decent about James Harden's defense, it's his ability to guard up and guard bigger players. So now you put Mitchell on the smallest guy on the team, and he's got like a 7-foot wingspan damn near. So I actually think this puts Mitchell in a better spot defensively, and I think Harden is an upgrade over Garland on both ends of the floor. So I actually do like it from a Cleveland standpoint, and would say it definitely did move the market, because now the Cavs are the favorites to come out of the East.
I can't get there because the problem, Harden is good when you force him into switches and then he has to guard in isolation. He's actually he holds up because of his size. You're right. It's a good point by Fiddle. The problem is just, at least Darius, how can I put this, is awake when he's not on ball. He is conscious, as opposed to James, who if you put him off ball, he's just going to stand there. He'll just stand there. He won't fight for a rebound. Darius might lose the rebound, but he'll fight for it. He's not going to move. He's not going to shuffle his feet. He's not going to keep track of his guy. He's just going to stand there. It's a problem. It's a problem. But the availability was a big part of this equation, so I get it. The other moves I think we should talk about, we'll get to the ones from today. I think we should revisit this podcast's second favorite team, since the Knicks are by force the favorite of this podcast. The Hornets have been the actual favorite this year. They make a ton of moves. They had Kobe White for Colin Sexton. Pat Connaughton, they just waived as we were recording this podcast, so he's gone. Not surprised he wasn't playing. Added Ousmane Dieng, moved out Mason Plumlee. Some sneaky good margins work, I think, by the Charlotte Hornets, BK.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like what Colin Sexton was giving them, so I'm not really sure that it's all that different, but I at least like the fact that they see that they have something here, and they're throttling down on that. I respect the aggressiveness, and for them to say we might actually have something here. Let's make some more noise. Let's try and make a playoff push. I do really like Kobe White as a player, a guy that can get his own shot. But I thought Colin Sexton was having a nice year, so I'm not sure that it's all that much of an upgrade as far as this year goes.
I like Sexton a lot, and I'm not very high on Kobe White, Fiddle, so I think this is probably a slight downgrade for me, just because of my preferences, but I'll have to check what the numbers kind of spit out for Colin Sexton versus Kobe White.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Just subjective eye test. I've kind of liked Sexton, but Sexton's on-off numbers have actually been pretty bad, and I was pretty surprised to see that for the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a -5 on-off, and so maybe it's a slight addition. Time will tell, but from Bulls' perspective, mightily confused with the addition of guards on guards on guards. So we'll see what's coming. I feel like has to be part one of multiple things, or now part two, considering the Jaden Ivey and Anthony Simons. Maybe it's part 3 or part 4. We have to see what happens with the Bulls. But if this is what it becomes, I truly think I could do a better job as GM.
This is an upgrade according to my numbers by APM adjusted to turn into a spread value. I've got it at 0.7 as an upgrade. That seems about right. A little bit between a half point and a point. Upgrade for the Hornets, and if you downgrade Kobe's minutes for him coming off the bench now, probably evens out to about a half a point. That's okay. That's about a half point adjustment on the power rating makes sense. The big move today, obviously, Anthony Davis goes to the Washington Wizards, and the Dallas Mavericks get 3 picks: Marvin Bagley, who I love, AJ Johnson, Chris Middleton, who I don't know if he'll get bought out. I would think he would want to get bought out, but we'll see. I don't know which way we want to start here. Fiddle, do you want to look at it from a Wizards perspective or a Mavericks perspective?
I can take it from the Wizards perspective.
Okay.
So I actually like what the Wizards are doing here. They give out a top 20 protected first from Golden State from the Jordan Poole deal, and they give up the OKC Thunder pick this year. So 2 late first. Late first can be incredibly valuable picks because of the guaranteed part of the contract and the low payment. So if you do hit on a late first rounder, it's absolutely a gold mine in the NBA. What Desmond Bane's first contract was, and he was like the best contract in the league for a few years. So if the Mavericks can hit on those, like that'll be big, but it's not giving much away from the Wizards. And the biggest takeaway that I have of this deal, and I like AD, I like him playing next to Sar. Sar leads the league in blocks right now, so I think that's a fine combo. I think it'll be a good screen and roll pairing with Trae Young. I think you have Trey Johnson, Bilal. You have some nice pieces. Keyshawn George has been progressing pretty nicely. So I actually like what the Wizards are doing. The biggest takeaway is it creates this year's lottery, like potentially to have some of the biggest impacts, because they clearly are hoping they're not going to play AD. They're not going to play Trae Young for the rest of the season. Maybe they play a few games at the end of the year, but it's nice that they acquired people who are like already injured so they could still tank and keep on their first round pick, which is probably going to be a top 5 pick. Same thing with Utah. Like Utah is probably going to want to stay in the top 5 and secure whatever happens in this lottery.
Yeah.
Like there are 2 teams right now that say, if we get number 1 pick and we get Peterson, who's a minus 400 to go first overall right now, like both of these teams are immediately hitting the gas pedal and hoping they slot in a Debanza or a Peterson next to the core that they've signed and got some good guys around them. So it'll be interesting to see. And then if you end up getting 3rd in this draft for either of those 2 teams and end up with Boozer, like that's going to be a tradable asset, it seems, and a tough fit next to Sar and AD or Kessler and JJJ and Marketing. Like, I don't know how you're bringing in Boozer to that group, but if either of those 2 land, Debanza or Peterson, it is go time for those franchises.
Yeah, the whole thing with the Peterson thing is really, well, first off, I will say it continues to kind of baffle me that Peterson is like, oh yeah, he's definitely number 1. I'm like, I don't know. Cam Boozer's really good. Cam Boozer's like really good. Like he's really good. I get Debanza not being up there in competition for the top 2, but I do think Cam Boozer, I think we need to wait.
You think it's Boozer number 2 right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think it's
he's well behind Debanza in the odds for first pick. I don't know if that's like a situation where like if you're not first, it's like when Chet Holmgren was locked into 2, despite it being a Jabari or Paolo for 1 versus 3.
Yeah, I would say that based on the people I've talked to, it's Peterson, then Boozer, and then Debanza. And then also there's lots of other guys that I think that teams would be interested in, they'll make noise about, at least considering taking his launch. Like Fleming's is really highly regarded. Like he's really highly regarded. BK, I find as the king of Wizards Hive on buckets, we're still not dead, by the way, to cross the over. Not dead. We're not we're mostly dead. Slightly alive, and that's where I'm at. I need them to win at like a 30% clip.
What was the Wizards team total?
So I got it twice. I got it. It dipped all the way down to like 18.5, and then I also got a 20.5. So that's where I put the position in the 20.5.
I mean, 6 more wins for a team that just added Anthony Davis. It's not that crazy.
Not playing. Like, he's not playing a second for this team. He will not. He will not.
You don't think he touches the floor? Is that already a foregone conclusion?
He sees it. I don't think he'll even be in the building. I don't think he'll see what the floor looks like. I think he will go into the arena to the press conference and then leave, and then they will see him in August. And that is what will happen. But yeah, Wizards sitting at 13 and 36. I need,
because I say this half in jest. The Eastern Conference is so up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
If they wanted to, they could push for a play-in spot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right now. They are 10 games back from the Bulls. Chicago.
My heart would sing if it was tomorrow. It was like, hey, we've changed our mind. Trae Young and Anthony Davis have been upgraded to questionable, and they're gonna we're expecting them to make their season. My heart would sing, but no, they're not going to see the floor this year.
See, this is how naive I am. Is I'm like, oh look, they have Trae Young and Anthony Davis. We get to see what this looks like this year.
The pick is the problem. The pick is top 8
and that's the whole thing. I see we have comments about tanking and stuff in the chat. If you don't like tanking in the NBA, boy, is the end of this season not for you, and it might start now. because
I think
of
it's
the
been going on.
draft
I think the
process.
Wizards tanked out of the gate. I think the Wizards purposely built a game plan to lose and then played hard for, I think the Nets did too, and then played hard for a month in December and then went back to it. And I'm like, I just wish there was just like
I'm talking
way.
about like COVID level tanking.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to see guys that we watch the NBA at an addictive level every
The
single
Golden
night.
State Warriors are trading Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield to the Atlanta Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. Sources tell ESPN.
Wow. Is that the most desperate move I've ever heard?
They added Kristaps Porzingis, Buddy Hield, and Kuminga.
So that's a signal that they're not getting Giannis, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Secondly, if Porzingis can play, that's a really nice fit next to Draymond, and Al Horford and Porzingis share a locker room together. They'll be reunited. I kind of like this.
No, it's a good move, but they still have to do something else. That roster is just so depleted. And
what are the Hawks doing?
I mean,
what are the Hawks ever
Hawks
doing?
turned a $30 million expiring contract into a shooter in Buddy Hield, which they needed because they just moved Vit. And as much as they like Kispert, and then like they took the flyer on Kuminga. I don't mind it. Like, best case scenario, hey, Jalen Johnson and Jonathan Kuminga are your new forward combos, and you can move on from Zachary Risachet. Worst case scenario, he sucks and he's only on the books for a year.
Has the 9-10 spot in the East ever been less coveted than it is?
Oh God,
This
man,
isn't
Johnson,
good for Kuminga either, too, because this puts him in another log jam of forwards where he might not get any playing time and is in a system that's heavy motion. This is not good for Kuminga.
you never know. What if Quinn really likes him?
Fair.
You know, you don't ever know. I don't really know what, like, it is really interesting. Okay, I gotta check the trade machine to see what this looks like, because I want to say that they can't trade for Giannis, right? But if the idea has been that you're going to trade Draymond, I don't know what the money differential
Podzemski,
is
Draymond, and all the picks
in that situation.
Well,
right?
Jimmy Butler would still have to be. I would think Jimmy Butler would still have to be part of this trade.
Nope, Stein's reported he's not. They are, and I've heard the same thing. Like, Steph and Jimmy are like BFFs for life now. That's why like Draymond gave basically like a going away speech to the media last night in case he got traded.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
This is what happens when players get to call the shots of who's on a roster.
Yeah, they can't. You're right though. They can't do it now because unless you're rerouting Kuminga, or not Kuminga, unless you're rerouting Porzingis. Because if you move Porzingis and Draymond, oh no, yeah, Porzingis and Draymond is 55 million. Giannis is 54.1. It's on the dot. So they're not. This is not over.
All right. I need drama right up to the deadline at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So this is great.
I guess if the Warriors don't get Giannis by tomorrow at 1, you're banking on Porzingis and Draymond defensively, which is good. KP spaces the floor, which they need. It's like if Quentin Post was good. I don't know, man. With all of the injury and illness stuff with KP, I just can't. I can't get there. So that's a weird one.
They just need one more. They just need one more postseason run out of this.
I want to ask you guys about the trades today. I want to ask you this. I'm putting you on the spot. What do you think the Wizards' win total is going to be next year?
The actual finish or the line itself?
What is the 2000?
Do they get a top 2 pick or no?
Yeah, let's say they get a top 2 pick.
I think we're looking at 37.5.
I was about to say 37.5.
You guys said 37.5. I think they are going to expect so much steam because of the star power that it'll be 40.5.
Oof.
And I think I'm going to like the under there.
Yeah.
And
that feels
for
right.
reference, the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors this year both were opened at 37.5.
Yeah, like are the Wizards with Trae Young and Anthony Davis more talented on paper than the Miami Heat were going into the year with Norman Powell and Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero?
Probably, but not the same. Probably at the top of the roster, but not throughout the roster, and certainly not the coach or the front office. I always think there's always a one win tax on the Heat because of like what if they get Giannis and you knew they were going to be in the midseason star rumors.
Meanwhile, what's the Jazz going to be next year?
It'll be lower because of the conference they're in, but I feel equally as exuberant about Utah. So I would say let's go 33.5.
Higher. Do they get a top 2 pick?
Yes.
The Portland this year started the year 35.5. So I want to say 36.5, maybe 37.5.
Yeah, 36.5 feels right. We'll see we'll come back to this.
We'll be breaking it down because I love my win totals, and we do that pod every year.
As soon as they come out in July.
The Wizards and let me just say, the Wizards and the Jazz need their own episode in the offseason.
They do.
Together.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. We'll keep you updated if anything else comes down tonight. Meanwhile, let's do some best bets for the Thursday slate. Obviously, everything tonight should be taken with a grain of salt and a little bit of hesitation. You should be careful because we don't know what's going to happen. So unless you are just like there, I don't think there's a game that I'm like, I absolutely know who is going to play and who's not, including my 3-star. So I'll go ahead and get that one out of the way because my 3-star is the Brooklyn Nets plus 11.5. Nothing like taking a team that is obviously tanking and trying to sell off assets at the deadline on the night of the trade deadline. Nothing beats that really when you're talking about what's capable for you. But there's a trend here that I really like, but I will go ahead and I'll start with this. One, I don't want to lay anytime that the Magic are laying a big number, I'm going to be like, I don't know about that. The Nets are obviously tanking. It's clear, but I do make this inside of the number by a pretty significant margin. I make this only 8, and that feels a lot closer to what it should be based off of how Orlando has played this season. They still have not been dominant. They are still very up and down. And then there is this, which is one of my favorite trends because it's a long-standing high sample trend. Not high sample. It's not as high sample as it needs to be, but it's still pretty good. Since 2012-13, which you can kind of trace as like the beginning of the pace and space era. That's when teams really started to go small, and that's when we started to see an uptick in 3-point attempts. After game 40, so you're more than halfway into the season, okay? It's mid-season point or later. We're past the halfway mark of the season. Teams with a winning percentage of less than 30% versus teams with a winning percentage of more than 60% are a very nice 57% against the spread. That's a larger sample, and you're in a better kind of position here. This is mostly a fade on Orlando. I like the Nets defensive scheme. They switch everything, and I like that versus specifically the Orlando Magic, who are not great, honestly, at self-creation on shots. They're big, they're physical, so that's helpful. But the way that the Nets are able to kind of play, this fits in with this. This feels like a very gross game. It feels like an under. I don't mind playing that. And I want the plus 11.5. BK, I know you're with me because I know this is your 2-star.
Yeah, brings me no joy. I'll be in the building for this one, but it is what it is. I'm with you. I try and stay as objective as possible when it comes to this stuff. It's the only way to win. This is the third meeting between these two teams. Neither have seen the Magic come really all that close to covering a number like this. One was a 7-point game. That was the biggest win they've had against the Nets. That was with Franz, and that's when the Magic were good this year. That's when they went on started to go on that cup run to Vegas. The other was an overtime game where the Magic won on the luckiest banked-in 3 from Paolo Banchero. The Nets probably should have won that game. I don't know what the Nets are going to do at the deadline. That's obviously a risk here. This bet is a lot less appealing if Michael Porter Jr. isn't playing, but the Magic have, as you've said, Matt, they just have not shown the ability to cover a number like this. Last 15 games, the Magic have the 4th worst net rating in the NBA. Now, the Nets have the worst, so there's a reason why the number is fat, but the Magic should not be a double-digit favorite against just about anybody.
Fiddle, which way do you think this goes?
I think it largely depends on the trades, but if there's no trades, then probably here or slightly on good to your side with the Nets. All the 12s got taken out in the market. It's a very low total, 213.5. So I think the points with that low total, and I personally don't really see the Nets moving MPJ. So I think it is a okay spot to bet into early.
Not only that, but they're asking for 2 first-rounders for Nick Claxton. They're asking for a first-rounder for Daron Sharp. They're asking for a first-rounder for Noah Clowney. They're asking for they've held their price pretty high. I have one more trend here as well. This season, when the Orlando Magic face a team who has a below 500 ATS record, so teams that don't cover more often than they cover, right? So teams that are below 500 ATS. This is a stunner, Kravitz. They are 5-15 against the spread when the opponent is bad against the spread. So the reason I like this trend, Fiddle, and I know that you're not a trends guy, but the reason I like this trend in particular is what it's basically saying is, how do you perform when the market has overestimated the other team? So the other team's been overestimated. That's why they've performed below the number. They are below 500 against the spread. They have not beaten the spread. They are below market. How do you perform against them? And Orlando's 5-15 against those teams with a minus 5.2 spread differential. So to me, that says that against, specifically when the Magic are in a position against a team that the market overrates, the Magic underperform even that expectation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. They end up.
If you think
it's kind of a playing down to their competition type of thing.
You can't.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, though. I think you could probably take whatever angle you desire for the Magic, and it would fit into this angle is profitable for the other side. They're the second worst ATS team in the league.
Yeah. That is one of the problems I run into, is where I'm like, oh, wow, this team pops up in a lot of these. It's because they're just terrible against the spread. They're just terrible against the spread.
They're bad as dogs. They're bad as favorites. They're bad against bad teams. They've been bad against good teams. It's definitely not been good.
We have another trade. Trace Jackson Davis has been traded from the Golden State Warriors to the Toronto Raptors for a 2nd-round pick, which to me
they are clearing the way.
I'm sorry, but my indication on that one, it's like, all right, you're moving Davis because you're bringing in Porzingis and he's going to lose minutes, so you're giving him an opportunity and you're getting an asset. The way to always think about these things is never it's only about one thing. It's like, it can be used for this, but if not, it's still a good move. That's the best way to look at most of these trades. However, if you're the Bucks, do you want Trace Jackson Davis or do you want another 2nd-rounder? You want another 2nd-rounder. That's what you want. So like, still stockpiling assets, but 2 trades here on buckets. The hits just keep. I wrote a half column about why this was going to be a quiet trade deadline on Monday. That's a thing I did. that column will never see the light of day.
Sure,
all right,
that's aging like milk.
Yeah. Brandon Kravitz, tell me about your 3-star bet of the night.
I'm going to go under on Raptors Bulls. 227.5 is where the number's sitting right now. I just don't know where the offense comes from for Chicago. Kobe White is gone. Josh Giddey is not playing. Dosunmu is questionable, air quotes. Trey Jones is questionable. Nik Vucevic is gone. And the Raptors are the top 5 defense in the NBA right now. Second night of a back-to-back for them, so we could go with the old trope of tired legs on jump shots. And I just think this has the making of a gross basketball game. Also, shout out to our friend StatHound Evan Abrams, who's been tracking this for the last month. The month of January, unders in the NBA hit at a rate of 60%, 14.5% ROI, and that has continued into February. It makes sense. It's pre-All-Star break. It's trade deadline. Everybody's ready to pack it in. These lineups are getting weird. This feels like an under all day of the week, every day of the week, however you say that in English.
Can I ask you guys a subjective eye test question? Because I know we're all big ball watchers here.
Yes, sir.
Have you noticed that there's a lot of wait and see calls happening around the league? Like, I think a lot of this under movement subjectively is like, oh, you clearly just got hacked, but that ball, no whistle, no whistle, no whistle. Oh, it rimmed out, whistle. And so like some of those, you're just eating the whistle because you didn't call it in time. And a lot of them are like, it should have been an and one when the ball goes in, but instead we're going to just not call the foul on that. And then if you're not, even if that's the 1 point difference right there, it's going to impact getting into the bonus at a certain amount of time, having the 2 fouls under 2 minutes threshold and getting free throws. So like, I actually think I have to do some data digging into this, but I feel like the free throw rate has had to drop because I am seeing so many late calls.
I want to check this real quick. So the free throw rate the last 2 weeks is 19.5%. It's the last 2 weeks. For the season, yeah, we're only at 21, so we're down about 0.6. It has been declining pretty rapidly because we were at like 22 to start the season for the first 2 months of the season, and I was very annoyed because I was like, you said you weren't going to call as much stuff, and then now you're calling more stuff. We have seen like the slow decline. I don't know. I'm really trying to figure out what is going on with the unders. I am trying to kind of understand this, but I get why that's being positioned the way it is, and it is a nice supporting. If you're going to be betting in it, if you're ever going to bet an under, now is the way to do it. Our producer says it's pick up basketball fouls. If I make it, we're good. If I miss it, it's a foul. It's pick up.
No blood, no call.
To Fiddle's point, I've noticed that too in watching these games, and I don't have numbers to back it up. It's just simply eye test anecdotal stuff. But it seems like every year, the last couple of years, officials choose a pocket in the season. It's usually either around the All-Star break or at the end of the season to go, hey, look, this is how we're going to call the game in the playoffs. And they almost use it as like a simulation. And it feels like we're living through that right now. The start of the year, it's like, all right, let's set the tone, call whistle, blow the whistle every other second. And then there's a pocket in the year where we go, this is what playoff basketball is going to look like. And right now, I think we're seeing a lot of that on top of all of these quirky lineups.
Both of these teams, so the Bulls, when they've got rest advantage, the under is 6-4, which I think is significant because the Bulls have been largely a high-scoring team this season. And Toronto, the under is 5-3 when they've got rest disadvantages. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. So a couple of supporting elements here. I don't mind it. Toronto, Chicago, under 227.5 for Brandon Kravitz. Fiddle, what's your 3-star?
My 3-star play is going to be Phoenix Suns and Warriors under 218.5. This simple market read, I think this is certainly dropping. We were expecting to get Devin Booker back, but I don't think that he's going to return for this game. I'm pulling up the latest on the injury report right now. He's still listed as out for this game, and I kind of expected him back last game. So Booker still being out. Warriors have plenty of injuries themselves too. The Suns shot amazing in their last game and had a huge comeback against the Portland Trailblazers. So a little bit of shooting regression, market read, injury report data. So this is just a pretty much, I think this closes at 216.5. And so play the under at 218.5.
I like this one as well, especially because now I think with the moves, Golden State's going to be shorthanded. So that's going to lead to tired legs and no Steph, and they've got no real way to score. So not a great spot.
Yeah, losing Heel definitely helps that decrease in shooting right there.
Yeah, they'll play more defenders and
Gary Payton too gets some more minutes. The only thing is I don't know how many minutes per game Trace was getting, but if you put in more Horford and Post, those are over players for sure.
Brett Siegel from Clutch Points reports that the Warriors pivoted away from their Giannis pursuit after being told by the Bucks they would not accept their trade offer. So glad that everyone spent about 5 days telling us that the Warriors by far had the best offer and were clearly the front runners, according to the person they talked to, who definitely did not work for the Golden State Warriors. So seems like, at least for now, we'll see. These things come sometimes, the smoke screens. Definitely seems like Golden State's pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo is over. All right, let's do some 2 and some 1 stars. Let's go back to Kravitz and hit your 2 and your 1 star.
All right. Well, my 2-star, we've already talked about it. I'm on the Nets plus 11.5 against the Magic for all of the reasons that we discussed. So I'm going to jump to one that's way more fun. Isaiah Collier, 12 plus assists at plus 135. This is just a tip of the cap as much as anything. Full transparency. I hate the board tonight. I will routinely throw 5 or 6 bets in the app night after night in the NBA. The last 2 days, so Wednesday night, Thursday night, right around the trade deadline, I don't know how to properly cap all of this player movement and injury ambiguity live in the moment. That is not my strong suit. So I'm going to pay some respect to a man who not only racked up 22 assists in his last game, he played all 48 minutes. Isaiah Collier, why not go back to the well here? Let's go Collier 12 plus assists at plus money.
Yeah, we'll see if he's still there for tomorrow night's game.
Well, if he's not, then we void it and get the bet back.
I mean, I will tell you, there's been conversations according to the hashtag sources. There's been conversations. Michael Fiddle, your 2 and your 1 star.
So my 2-star bet is going to be pretty straightforward. It's the 76ers plus 4.5. There's 3.5s in the market now. If you're seeing the 3.5 alongside a plus 150 money line, split it up, go like 2/3 spread, 1/3 money line here. At plus 150 it's a good number for plus 3.5 on the money line dog. I think Joel Embiid plays. This was being shaded towards the 76ers to gain steam when the market opened at 3.5. Then we see the news that Joel Embiid is listed questionable. To me, that's not surprising. He played against the Clippers, then sat out the second night of the back-to-back against the Warriors. And now there's another game in California against the Lakers. And so we moved to 4.5 and now back down to 3.5. So I think 76ers are definitely going to be the right side of the market to be on. And I think this is going to be a spot where Joel plays, and then you're going to get a really good number because of that. So pretty much an injury report read right here. I don't think Joel's going to get traded overnight. The one trade that we didn't talk about is McCain going to the Thunder today, but that just opens more minutes for Edgecombe and specifically Quentin Grimes, who I love to back. He's one of those role players that when he's active, he's like, I'm happy to back 76ers. I think he's a very valuable player, ATS. And so 76ers plus 3.5 and plus 150 on the money line is going to be my bet. You want me to go straight into the 1 star?
Yeah, tell me about the 1 star.
Okay, I think you guys are going to love this handicap for the 1 star, but I just want to explain kind of big picture about sometimes how markets work in sports betting. And there are obviously there's plenty of books out. That's what creates a market with multiple places to buy and sell from. And so some books are considered sharp books and market leaders and market drivers. And then some books are considered like recreational books. And so the market drivers and the sharp books often move their lines based on action. And then the softer and more recreational books, it's called the term moving the line on air. It's like, oh, we see the sharp book moving its line, so we are going to move our line too, because that must mean sharp bettors are betting it in that direction. So we're going to follow suit so that we don't leave ourselves exposed to what is becoming the right side of the game. So a lot of these books will move on air and not necessarily on action. And there is one book particularly, I won't say the name of it, but it is considered a pretty sharp book in the market, has very, very low limits for NBA lines, specifically at open. Very low limits. Their max bet that they'll take is $1,000, which for high-level sharp bettors is not a lot of action. So people often max bet this book, and they fake it out. They bet it in the opposite direction of what they really want. So in this game, there was a move from 218.5 to 220.5 in the market, and a 2-point move towards the over at this market leading book. And I saw that and I go, this is a pump fake. This is an absolute pump fake in the market. We're going to max bet this for $1,000. All the other soft books are going to start to move their lines, and then we're going to play the under everywhere else. And we're going to end up getting a lot more money down than that original $1,000. We're going to have a over 218 ticket. And then we're also going to have under 220 and a half. And so the value split between an over 218 and a half and an under 220 and a half is like damn near break even because of the chance to middle it and the VIG that you're paying. It's like damn near a wash, but you're getting a lot of your money on that under 220, 219 and a half. And so this is exactly, I was watching the board and I saw it happen. I saw this book go from 218 and a half directly to 220 and a half. And I go, that's not going to be real. I disagree with this. I'm not going to go chase it. I'm not going to go play it at another rec book. I'm going to wait this out. Certainly all the other ones, inch, they're all going up. Then that 220 becomes 217 and a half in the snap of the fingers, and all of the rest of them come down. So this is a spot where it is going to be an underplay, and there was a little pump fake in the market here, and I think under 218 is going to be a pretty strong spot on this Houston and Charlotte game. I'm not sure if KD, dealing with some ankle stuff, plays the second night of a back-to-back. Charlotte's not going to have Kobe White in the lineup yet. He's probably going to join them in probably Friday or Saturday, and I'm not sure exactly when they play. So they lose Sexton, who's certainly a pace-up point guard, someone who gets the free throw line too. So I actually like this under quite a bit, and I think there's some injury report asymmetry here. We just saw the Rockets fail to score 100 points against the Celtics tonight, and I think the Hornets defense has been surprisingly impressive as of late. So this is an under spot for me, and noticing that there was definitely a pump fake in the market.
Another thing in your favor, Rockets offense as a baseline, absolutely wretched. Their only way that they're able to hold their head above water offensively is through offensive rebounding. And without Steven Adams, that has collapsed. And guess who's really good at rebounding? The Charlotte Hornets. That's a really good look there. By the way, and this will play into my 1 star in a minute. I'll wait. I'll save it. I'll save it for that. So my 2 and my 1 star is that's a great cat from Fiddle, by the way. That's rivet. I love how excited you get about sussing out fake market moves. It is.
Yeah, I was like, I saw it. I'm like, bullshit. I'm not like, I've seen this book get pump faked and be used as the pump fake many a times.
I you know what I picture is like someone that goes to watch a full orchestra,
mm-hmm.
and they're hitting that crescendo and a single tear rolls down your cheek and it's really intense. That's how I picture Fiddle watching the board.
Yes.
Just
the
like,
drop. And I was like, I'm right. Now, it would have been absolutely baller of me if I played the 220s when they showed up going, this is going to go the other way. But once I saw that one book dropped to 217 and a half, I was like, okay, I was right. There's my indicator. I'm in.
Bittersweet Symphony.
My 2-star on the night is going to be all reliable Los Angeles Lakers over. Sixers Lakers over 231 and a half. Guess what? We played Reeves on Monday night. When he played versus the Nets, we played the over. It got home. Your record now, the Los Angeles Lakers, when Austin Reeves plays, the over is 17-8 this season at 68%. It is quite simply that there is, if you're wondering like what's the dynamic here, the idea is this: one, their overall total evaluation by the market is going to be influenced by this time without Reeves because you've built a baseline of what the offense looks like. And so even though Reeves is going to add X amount of points to it, what it can't really calculate is how much of an offensive team they become when they have Reeves and Luka. It is all offense, no defense. Their defense gets worse because you're taking a defender off of the floor. Even if you're like, but the Lakers defense isn't good. Sure. But the Lakers defense gets worse when you have Austin Reeves on the floor instead of literally anybody else, because it's the combination of Reeves and Luka, and they are compounding one another offensively, where you can't just draw attention entirely to Luka and you got standstill shooters. Reeves is able to run second side pick and rolls. You can run pick and roll with Reeves. He carries a second unit, all of these types of things. So I'm just going to keep going back to the well here, and I'm going to keep playing it. And because I do project this over by 6 points. So I've got this all the way up to 237. I'm going to play Lakers Sixers over 231 and a half on the Austin Rivers overplay. Finally, for a fun one, I'm going to play Wizards Hornets on a money line parlay. Now, I'm actually going to round robin this with our Brooklyn Nets bet because we're betting the plus 11.5. There's reason to get in on this. If you're like, what, Matt? Why? Why? The Detroit Pistons versus the Washington. Come now, Matt. Surely not. But I'll return you to this number, which is even better than that previous trend that I kind of indicated earlier, which is that when you have these teams, when you're facing a team that is above 70% and the opponent is below 30% after that midway in the season, that spread differential actually is 58%. And then amongst the teams, when they do cover, your win rate goes up to about 38, 39%. So again, it's not like high, and it's not your typical Matt Mitchell rule because these are obviously going to be huge dogs, and that's one of the reasons they cover. So I will be on the Wizards here in this spot on the spread, but I'm going to go ahead and take him here. Detroit's coming off of a real feel-good win versus the Denver Nuggets that probably took a lot out of them. They're going to be without Jaden Ivey. That's a disruption to the locker room, a little bit of uncertainty. You've got the Wizards who they haven't yes, Marvin Bagley. Yes. Sure, he had the best off net ratings of anybody on the roster, but still, I am expecting a spirited effort. Chris Middleton wasn't even come on. Chris Middleton hasn't really been playing consistently for them, and even so, it's not gonna be a huge deal. I think this is one of those random games the night before the deadline. I'm willing to take a shot on it. Hornets, I will just play straight up against the Rockets. That's just gonna be a straight up play because one, by the way, I will give you this one. Ime Udoka on 3 and 4 back-to-backs, which this is 16 and 16 straight up in his career. 3rd and 4 back-to-backs, 16 and 16 straight up, 13 and 19 against the spread. So I'm going to be on Hornets regardless, and I would throw in the Wizards and the Nets as well for my 1-star play. Just a little sprinkle and a fun one on trade deadline night. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll recap all of the trade deadline moves. We'll get you set for the Friday slate with all the new teams. We'll break down whatever else crazy happens. If there's enough to warrant an emergency episode, we'll cover that. Haven't hit that yet. Obviously, if a Giannis trade goes down, that'll change the conversation. We appreciate you guys being with us. Catch Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks. Does a breakdown every day. Catch Brandon Kravitz on the favorites at Brandon Kravitz at BK Picks. We'll see you guys again next time. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. Till tomorrow night, let's get buckets. Woo! Trades.